Good evening, everyone. Thank you. It is 6:00 p.m. on Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting of the Peoria City Council to order, and I'd also like to welcome everyone who's here in our historic City Council chambers, as well as our listening audience watching on cable channel 22 and on the City of Peoria YouTube channel. Madam Clerk, the council mics are open. Please call the roll.
Mayor Ali,
Present.
Councilmember Carmona,
Here.
Councilmember Sear,
Here.
Councilmember Gordon Young,
Present.
Councilmember Jackson,
Here.
Councilmember Kelly,
Here.
Councilmember Riggenbach,
Here.
Councilmember Velpula,
Present.
and Councilmember Vespa. You have a quorum present, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. A notice was received by Councilmember Allen and Councilmember Euler of the City Council in accordance with rules established in Ordinance Number 16142. Councilmember Allen and Councilmember Euler would be deemed authorized to attend the meeting electronically unless a motion objecting to Councilmember Allen's and Councilmember Euler's electronic attendance is made, seconded, and approved by 2/3 of the members of the City Council physically present at the meeting. If no such motion is made and seconded, then the request by Councilmember Allen and Councilmember Euler to attend electronically shall be deemed approved by the City Council, and the presiding officer shall declare Councilmember Allen and Councilmember Euler present. Hearing no objection, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Allen
Present.
and Councilmember Euler.
Here.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Please join me, everyone, and stand for a moment of silent prayer or silent reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk,
We are at proclamations.
we have 4 proclamations tonight, and I've asked council members to share in the reading of those proclamations. The first proclamation recognizes National Co-Responder and Crisis Responder Week. And we have Shamim Jalil. She's the Director of Co-Responder and Social Services Unit, and Cassandra Steele, who is the lead licensed clinical social worker of Co-Responder Social Services Unit. Will you, oh, there we are. Come to the podium. Thank you. Whereas the City of Peoria is committed to supporting individuals in crisis and recognizes that engaging co-responders, peer support professionals, and mobile crisis teams is a crucial, effective practice for addressing behavioral health issues in our community. Oh, they brought a whole team. Great. And a baby. Whereas the Peoria Police Department's Co-Responder Social Services Unit was established in 2023, bringing together law enforcement and human services professionals to provide the right intervention at the right time and connect people experiencing crises, including mental health disorders and substance abuse issues, to appropriate resources. And whereas the Co-Responder Social Services Unit team provides emotional support, serves as a liaison between victims and officers, and helps de-escalate tense situations through a trauma-informed approach. And whereas services provided by the Co-Responder Social Services Unit include, but are not limited to, temporary housing, relocation assistance, practical safety items, and transportation support. And whereas experiencing a traumatic event can be profoundly destabilizing, the co-responder social service unit aims to be that person for the victim, offering compassionate, consistent support both during and after a crisis. Now therefore I, Rita Ali, Mayor of the City of Peoria, Illinois, do hereby recognize September 14th through September 20th, 2025 as National Co-Responder and Crisis Responder Week in Peoria, Illinois.
Good evening. It is with deep gratitude and humility that I accept this proclamation on behalf of the Peoria Police Department's Co-Responder Social Services Unit and our incredible partners, Trillium Places Mobile Crisis Response Teams. I want to sincerely thank you, Mayor Rita Ali, and distinguished council members, the chief and assistant chief, and everyone who has continued to support and uplift our work that we do in the community. This recognition during National Co-Responder and Crisis Responder Week is not just an honor, it's a powerful reminder of the importance of compassion, collaboration, and community crisis care. To our co-responder team and the mobile crisis responder teams, thank you for showing up every day with courage, empathy, and unwavering commitment. You meet people in their most difficult moments and help them take the first steps toward healing. You just don't respond to crisis, you help people rebuild after the crisis that they experience. To our community, thank you for trusting us, engaging with us, and walking alongside us. Your partnership is essential to everything that we do. This proclamation is a celebration of the relationships that we have built in the community. Thank you again for this meaningful recognition. We are proud to serve Peoria and to continue building a stronger, more resilient community. Thank you.
You're welcome. You've been a tremendous asset. Yes. You've been a tremendous asset and addition to the work of our Peoria Police Department. So we're so grateful to have you. And Cassandra, did you have comments as well?
I always have comments, Mayor.
Okay, Cassie, thank you for bringing the baby. I've heard about the baby, but I haven't had a chance to meet the baby. So.
Well, thank you for the grace of allowing our whole family to be here. I just, this has been a project that we've been working on for a long time, and we would not be successful. We wouldn't be successful in this program if it wasn't for our partners at the Mobile Crisis Response Team. We've been able to work as partners, both of us on the same scene many times, and our community wouldn't be as open to our program as they are if they weren't already here. So we appreciate them as well.
It's true. Thank you so much. Great job. Thank you. Our next proclamation recognizes National Preparedness Month. We have Kate McIntyre, who's with the Peoria City County Health Department Emergency Preparedness Planner is her title, and Councilmember Tim Brickenbach is going to share the proclamation. Thank you.
Mayor. Whereas National Preparedness Month creates an important opportunity for every community member in the city of Peoria to prepare their homes, business, communities for any type of emergency, including natural disasters and potential terrorist attacks. Whereas investing in the preparedness of ourselves, our families, our businesses, and our neighborhoods can reduce fatalities and economic destruction in our communities and our nation. Whereas federal, state, local, tribal, territorial, private, and volunteer agencies are working to increase public activities in preparing for emergencies and to educate individuals on how to take action. And whereas emergency preparedness is the responsibility of everyone in the city of Peoria, and all community members are urged to make preparedness a priority and work together to develop their own emergency preparedness plans, ensuring that individuals, families, and communities are prepared for disasters and emergencies of any type. Now, therefore, Rita Ali, Mayor of the City of Peoria, does hereby recognize the month of September as National Preparedness Month in Peoria, Illinois, this 9th day of September, 2025.
Ms. McIntyre?
Just wanted to say thank you to the mayor and the council for this proclamation, and to remind the public to be prepared, make a plan, build a kit, and stay informed. And you can get a lot more information at ready.gov, Peoria County website under Emergency Management, and the Peoria City County Health Department under Emergency Preparedness. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Our next proclamation recognizes Peoria Reads, and we have Randall Yelverton, who's the Executive Director of Peoria Public Library, and Elise Hearn, who's the head of Peoria Reads Committee and Manager of Programming for the Peoria Public Library. Thank you for being here. We have Councilmember Denise Jackson, who will share the proclamation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas September has been recognized as National Library Card Sign-Up Month by the American Library Association since 1987, and this year, Peoria Public Library will celebrate with the kickoff of its One Book, One City initiative, Peoria Reads. And whereas this year's Peoria Reads theme revolves around music, something that all Peorians can embrace. And whereas Peoria Public Library, along with partners from Bradley University, Methodist College, and Neighborhood House, selected Holding the Note, Profiles in Popular Music by David Remnick as the book for this year's initiative. And whereas the goal of a collective citywide read is to engage our community in exploring diverse topics, including uplifting topics such as the love of music from a new perspective. Now, therefore, Rita Ali, Mayor of the City of Peoria, Illinois, encourage all community members to participate in the One Book, One City initiative, and do hereby recognize September as the kickoff of Peoria Reads in Peoria, Illinois, dated this 9th day of September, 2025 AD.
Mr. Yelverton.
Hi, my name is Randall Yelverton. I'm the Executive Director of the Peoria Public Library. We want to thank Mayor Ali and the members of the council for taking the time to highlight that not only is September National Library Card Sign-Up Month, but this is also the month we kick off Peoria Reads, our One City, One Book initiative. We appreciate the mayor and council for your ongoing support of the library and its important mission of providing information to all, community spaces for everyone, and recreation for all Peorians. In a moment, I'm going to introduce Elise Hearn, our new head of both programming and our Peoria Reads Committee. But first, I'd like to remind every Peorian listening tonight that now is the perfect time to get your library card. We have partnered again this year with CityLink, so all you have to do is to show your library card to ride public transit for free for the whole month of September.
Great.
We call this our Fine Free, Fare Free campaign, and it has been very successful. We're grateful for the support of CityLink in this initiative. Other participating libraries in Fine Free, Fare Free are Peoria Heights, Pekin, and Fond du Lac. The success of this program, started in Peoria, has led to similar initiatives in nearby communities like Normal and Bloomington. It's always nice to see them following our lead for our initiatives. Peoria Public Library is also celebrating 5 years this month of being fine-free. Accessibility is more important than anything. It's why we exist, and fines, or the threat of them, should not keep anyone from using the library. We have so much to offer at the library, including streaming films, music, ebooks, print books, meeting spaces, computer and internet access for all, free classes, author visits, summer reading. I could go on all night about all the things we offer, but instead I'll invite you all to come take a tour of the library. In fact, we have a public tour tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. at our main library and more scheduled throughout the fall. These tours are open to everyone. And now I'd like to introduce Elise Hearn. She recently became our head of programming, which means she's also in charge of Peoria Reads. She's been at Peoria Public Library for more than a decade as manager of our Lakeview branch, and of course now is our head of public programming. All right, Elise, I will turn it over to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Randall. And thank you, Mayor Ali and council members. For more than 20 years, Peoria Public Library has hosted a citywide literary event inviting all residents to read the same book at once. In fact, next year, we will celebrate 25 years of Peoria Reads. Every year, our committee chooses a book that we believe has the ability to resonate with all Peorians. This year, we've chosen Holding the Note, Profiles in Popular Music by David Remnick. With Peoria's long history of music, we hope everyone will be excited to read about some of our most influential musicians, songwriters, and performers of the last 50 years. Icons like Paul McCartney, Aretha Franklin, Leonard Cohen, Buddy Guy, Bob Dylan, just to name a few. The author, David Remnick, is a Pulitzer Prize winner and editor of The New Yorker. This book is a compilation of intimate interviews he's done over decades, and it really is a fascinating read. You can check out a copy at your favorite Peoria Public Library location. We also have digital copies and audiobook versions. But the other great thing I'd really like to highlight tonight about Peoria Reads is that it gives us a chance to develop themed programming around the book. We will have special Peoria Reads programs offered throughout the fall and into early next year. So, of course, we'll have book clubs where people can talk about the book, but a couple of programs I'm really excited about are one, we've partnered with Peoria Players Theater to get a backstage tour and mini performance of Rent. That's later this month. And then next month, we're doing an intro to singing class with Peoria's own Edie Barnard. She, in fact, has convinced me to sing a song that my great uncle composed. My third great uncle, Henry Cohen, wrote Canadian Capers, which was sung by Doris Day in the film My Dream Is Yours. Wow. And I will be singing Canadian Capers in his honor in October at North Branch. So,
wow.
If you, come watch me fail. But I will be singing it in his honor. So these are the kinds of fun things and community connections that I think is the best part of Peoria Reads. And I hope everyone here tonight and listening will take part. You can find out more about Peoria Reads on the library's website, peoriapubliclibrary.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Great choice in your book, and I'm going to get a copy as soon as I can. Strong cities have great libraries, and we're very grateful for our great library in Peoria. Thank you for your leadership. Our last proclamation recognizes National Senior Center Month, and we have Peggy Jaquez, Executive Director of Graceland Center for Purposeful Aging, and Krista Fuller, the Program Coordinator for Graceland Center for Purposeful Aging. Sharing our proclamation. Wow.
I know.
Look,
our party.
Wow, a lot of advocates there, a lot of supporters. We have Councilman John Kelly who will share the proclamation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas National Senior Center Month is celebrated each September by the National Council on Aging, or NCOA, and the National Institute of Senior Centers, NISC, to highlight the value of our nation's senior centers in the lives of older adults. And whereas the Older Adult Act of 1965, along with the laws creating Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, recommended that all communities have a designated center that focuses on the well-being of retired persons, and whereas the research-based outcomes of senior center participants demonstrate that older adults who participate in senior center programs can learn to manage and delay the onset of chronic diseases and experience measurable improvements in their physical, social, spiritual, emotional, mental, and economic well-being. And whereas the NISC's theme for this month is Powering Possibilities, Flip the Script, encouraging us to challenge outdated stereotypes about aging and recognize the contributions that older adults make to their communities through their financial impact, work experience, talent, and guidance. And whereas Graceland Center for Purposeful Aging initial programming in Peoria has grown in attendance in its first grant year, averaging 40 to 50 participants from Peoria's robust aging population at weekly events and 20 participants in satellite events. And whereas Graceland Center for Purposeful Aging will continue weekly programming and fundraising, building toward creating a community-based senior center for Peoria residents. Now, therefore, Rita Ali, Mayor of the City of Peoria, hereby acknowledges September as National Senior Center Month in Peoria, Illinois, dated this 9th day of September, 2025.
Thank you, Mayor Ali and members of City Council for proclaiming September as Senior Center Month. It's an honor to follow all these other organizations and part of why I believe Peoria is such a great place and why I'm committed to making a senior center. On behalf of Graceland Center for Purposeful Aging, we're honored to receive this recognition. One of our favorite mottos is celebrating past, present, and future. So celebrating the past, we gratefully acknowledge the wisdom, experience, and the financial, social, and emotional contributions that older adults have given to Peoria. 3 years ago, when this proclamation was first presented, Graceland had just received its ARPA funds to launch our Aging with Vitality programs. Since then, we've grown tremendously. Attendance has increased over 300%. Participation has grown from 4 to 8 people once a week to 35 to 55 twice a week. Wow. Programs have doubled and are soon to triple. Participants come from 24 different zip codes, representing every district in this room. We are a diverse and inclusive community, welcoming people from all social, racial, and economic backgrounds. Celebrating the present. Today, Graceland is proud to be a congregate meal site in partnership with Neighborhood House. We are supported by grants from the Community Foundation and Impact Central Illinois and by donations from participants and the community. Our center has become a place of connectivity, dignity, empowerment, and joy. The smiles you see on the participants reflect the real stories of changed lives. For example, you'll like this one. A caregiver reported to us just last week that their spouse's memory has improved so much through engagement at Graceland that they can no longer get away with forgetting to do their tasks. A daughter tearfully thanked us because her mother, once so lonely that she was talking to pictures in her home, now has community and purpose. The need is great, and the solution is achievable. We invite you to visit on a program day and experience the laughter, the learning, and the community for yourself. As we brought to City Council in May when we recognized the value of older adults in our community, now is the time to flip the switch. Every one of us, if we are blessed to do so, age every day. It's time to shed the ageist attitude of aging as enablement and debilitation that is frankly disrespectful. Did you know that a negative attitude toward aging can actually take up to 7 years of your life away? Yikes. So Graceland is changing that. We celebrate aging as a privilege. Celebrating the future. Looking ahead, the need is urgent. 33% of Peoria's residents are over the age of 50, 20% are over the age of 65. By 2030, there will be more people over the age of 60 than there will be for people younger than 18. Now is the time to create a full-time, 5-day-a-week center where older adults and families can find access to resources and services, learn strategies for healthy aging, and live their later lives with purpose and vitality. As a reminder, Peoria is the 8th largest city in Illinois and in Illinois, and the only city in the top 20 that does not have a senior center. The gap has to be closed. The costs of inaction are high. 1 in 5 adults, older adults, faces loneliness. 1 in 3 struggles with health issues related to social isolation that can cost up to $1,900 per person per year. If you do the math, that can add up to nearly $22 million of preventable health care costs in Illinois, in Peoria. And compare that to the cost of a nursing home of $90,000 a year or assisted living at $4,000 to $5,000 per month. The return on investment is clear. For $400,000, we could launch a sustainable center with staff, space, and supplies, empowering older adults to remain healthy, independent, and engaged contributors to our community. Most centers are funded by a robust combination of civic dollars, either through the Park District, Township, or other tax dollars, grants including the United Way, Local Agency on Aging, business underwriting, and donations and fundraising. Peoria can do this if the need is recognized and if we have people to come alongside to support older adults in the community. I also realize that many of you may not understand or appreciate what a senior center can do for this community because you might not have been exposed to it. I encourage you to go online, or better yet, go visit one of the centers all around Peoria. You can go to the ARC, the Activity and Recreation Center in Normal, which is like a Riverplex facility specifically for older adults, or the Miller Center in Pekin, or Senior Services of Central Illinois in Springfield. They are vibrant centers filled with activity for older adults who are choosing to live their later lives well. So in closing, next year when we gather for this proclamation, I'm confident with your leadership, with your connections, and the support of Peoria's businesses, healthcare, financial, and education institutions, that together we can be celebrating a ribbon cutting of a new center. Wouldn't that be awesome? I also want to thank Councilman Allen. He is always at our programs for his ongoing support. A center for older adults in Peoria, I promise, is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Older adults are the backbone of our families, our economy, our tax base, and our city. It's time for Peoria to ensure that a senior center plays in Peoria. As a newly retired nurse of 45 years and a family member of a loved one with ALS, I know the value of today. But don't we all? When we kiss our loved ones goodbye, we have no idea what the day will bring. Tomorrow is not guaranteed, so let's take action now. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your commitment to the well-being of older adults in Peoria. Thank you.
You're welcome. Congratulations on your amazing progress. You've made a lot of progress, and thank you all for coming out. I see a lot of friends and peers out there. Madam Clerk?
We are at the approval of minutes.
Councilman Riggenbach.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to approve the minutes of the City Council meeting held on August 26, 2025, as printed.
Seconded by Councilmember Gordon Young. Any questions or comments? Please cast your ballots. Councilman Allen?
Aye.
Councilman Euler?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
We have one town item. 25-240 is a request from the town officials to approve the August 2025 actual expenditures and to approve the September 2025 anticipated expenditures for the town of the City of Peoria.
Councilmember Gordon Young?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to approve item 25240.
Is there a second? Seconded by Seconded by Trustee Kelly. Any comments or questions? Please cast your ballots. Trustee Allen?
Aye.
Trustee Euler?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
We are at the consent agenda. 25-241 is a communication from the City Manager and Director of Public Works with a request to approve a contract with Davy Resource Group for the Smart Tree Inventory and Risk Assessment in an amount not to exceed $375,000. 25-242 is a communication with a request to approve the following amendments to Master Services Agreement number 22395 for various engineering services. A, First Amendment to the Master Services Agreement with AKRF, Inc. to extend through December 31st, 2026. B, First Amendment to the Master Services Agreement with Baxter and Woodman Consulting Engineers to extend through December 31, 2026. C, Second Amendment to the Master Services Agreement with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley to extend through December 31, 2026. D, First Amendment to the Master Services Agreement with Dewberry Engineers to extend through December 31, 2026. E, First Amendment to the Master Services Agreement with Farnsworth Group, Inc. to extend through December 31, 2026. F, First Amendment to the Master Services Agreement with Fair Graham Engineering and Environmental, formerly Midwest Engineering, to extend through December 31, 2026. G, Second Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with Foth Infrastructure and Environment, LLC, to extend through December 31, 2026, and in an amount not to exceed $350,000. H, First Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with Hanson Professional Services, Inc., to extend through December 31, 2026. I, First Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with Henneman Engineering, Inc., to extend through December 31, 2026. J, First Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with Herman and Associates to extend through December 31, 2026, and in an amount not to exceed $150,000. K, Second Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with H.R. Green, Inc., to extend through December 31, 2026, and in an amount not to exceed $350,000. L, Third Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with Hutchison Engineering, Inc., to extend through December 31, 2026, in an amount not to exceed $250,000. M, First Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with Infrastructure Engineering, Inc., to extend through December 31, 2026. N, Third Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with Maurer Stutz, Inc., to extend through December 31, 2026. O, Second Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with Mead and Hunt, Inc., formerly Symbiont, to extend through December 31, 2026. P, Third Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with Millennia Professional Services of Illinois, Ltd., to extend through December 31, 2026, and in an amount not to exceed $950,000. Q, Second Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with Prairie Engineers, to extend through December 31, 2026, and in an amount not to exceed $250,000. R, First Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with Resource Environmental Solutions, LLC, to extend through December 31, 2026. S, First Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with Terra Engineering, Ltd., to extend through December 31, 2026, and in an amount not to exceed $1,100,000. T, First Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with Thovanot, Wade, and Martian, Inc. to extend through December 31, 2026. And U, First Amendment to the Master Professional Services Agreement with WSP USA Environment and Infrastructure, Inc. to extend through December 31, 2026. 25-243 is a communication with a request to approve a resolution regarding the approval of closed session minutes. 25-244 is a communication with a request to adopt an ordinance vacating 1,420 square feet of alley between and immediately adjacent to parcel number 18-04-209-038, lots 25 and 26 of Maple Ridge Addition to the City of Peoria, Illinois. 25-245 is an appointment by Mayor Ali to the Advisory Committee on Police Community Relations with a request concur of Shannon Marlin. 25-246 is an appointment by Mayor Ali to the Downtown Advisory Commission with a request concur of Carrie Snyder, Kamlesh Makwan, and Bo Sutherland. 25-247 is an appointment by Mayor Ali to the Housing Commission with a request concur of Lamont Carroll. 25-248 is a reappointment by Mayor Ali to the Peoria Housing Authority Board with a request concur of Ciaran Graham. 25-249 is a reappointment by Mayor Ali to the Peoria Urban Forestry Advisory Board with a request concur of Ella Maxwell and Mike Price. 25-250 is an appointment by Mayor Ali to the Public Arts Advisory Commission with a request concur of Margaret Peggy Malouf. And 25-251 is a reappointment by Mayor Ali to the Public Building Commission with a request concur of Ken Casper. And that concludes our consent agenda.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any items to remove from consent agenda? Councilmember Seer,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move to approve consent agenda.
seconded by Councilwoman Gordon Young. Does anyone have any items to remove? Please cast your ballots. Councilmember Allen,
Aye.
Councilmember Euler,
Aye.
motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
We are at regular business. 25-252 is a communication from the City Manager and Corporation Council with a request to accept and approve the letter of intent from the Hinks Foundation for a restricted donation for a riverfront amphitheater. And on your desk, there is a handout with the presentation and the discussion with Friends of Riverfront Park.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a great evening. We've been in discussions with the Hengst Foundation about restricted donation that they would provide to the city of Peoria in the amount of $11 million. And with that, we would construct an amphitheater on the riverfront in Festival Park, just south of the Riverplex. We have been negotiating a letter of intent that you see in front of you here. This is really what, as we envision it to be, the very first phase in this project. What we would like to do is continue to work towards a formal donation agreement that would be more binding in terms of what we would do. So what I'd like to do is just kind of walk through the letter of intent. Then we have representatives of Terra Engineering with us this evening that have been working with the Hengst Foundation that'll walk through how this fits in with our riverfront plan that we adopted in 2023, as well as some of the proposed ideas that they're starting to discuss as part of the proposed amphitheater itself. So there's two sections of the agreement. I'm going to talk about the non-binding section, and I'm going to turn it over to our Corporation Counsel to talk about the binding portion. Okay. That's more the lawyer discussion side of things. So in the non-binding section of the agreement, it does clarify that the Hengst Foundation has objectives and purposes that are consistent with what we do on the riverfront. that they promote the arts by wanting to create a performing arts center or an amphitheater, and that they're looking to elevate the quality of life of residents in and around central Illinois. The second piece talks about the location that we're really looking and talking about Riverfront Park. We're talking about the area south of the amphitheater, in between, the Bob Michael Bridge, or the Murray Baker Bridge, and the Riverplex is what we're talking about as far as the location. What they've talked about is building an amphitheater that could potentially hold events up to 5,000 people. We would look at an amphitheater, and then there would be removable seating. We are in a floodplain. Tara will talk about that in a little bit. George and Kevin from Tara will. So we can't have permanent seating. So we have to have seating that needs to be removed and then brought in for different events, because as it floods and then it's going to recede, we've got to be able to manage that. So that's something that we would look at. A combination of the temporary seating and then lawn seating that would be provided. Similar to concerts and activities that have occurred over the past several years on our riverfront. The Hanks Foundation would provide a charitable contribution of $11 million towards the project. We would then, work with them on getting the site to kind of fit within the plan, the riverfront plan, but with some differences that are included within that. We would utilize the $11 million for the construction of the amphitheater, and then the corresponding space around that amphitheater for the patrons that would come and visit. In addition, as we built in this project, there's a couple of other things. They've stipulated that they want a construction team to be Core Construction. We do have the CEO of Core Construction and the founder of Core Construction, Wayne Baum, is here with us this evening. Tara Engineering, Tara is representing, has kind of worn hats. They've worn our hat for us in terms of the Riverfront Plan, but now they're working on behalf of the Hanks Foundation and then Epstein Global Architects. So they've stipulated who we would work with on the project. They've also asked in consideration for their donation that there would be a $1 fee on any ticketed event, any event that has a price tag, and that would go back towards their charitable mission, their foundation. I think they've been, what we've talked about at least initially is that would be for educational scholarships for students in the Tri-County area. They've asked for naming rights of the amphitheater. Mr. Jim Hanks, who is the founder of the foundation, lost his wife, Dee, and he wants to name the amphitheater after her. So those are the provisions generally of the non-binding side. Now I'm going to turn it over to our Corporation Counsel to talk about the binding provisions, and then we'll turn it over to Terra Engineering to walk through the plan, and then we'll be able to answer questions that council may have.
Okay.
So when a private entity steps into the public space through a public-private partnership, confidentiality of issues become part of an agreement. The primary elements of the binding part of this letter of intent have to do with that reality, and I wanted to comment about a couple questions I've received about this. The issue is clear in the letter of intent and will be codified more substantially in the ultimate agreement between the parties that the city is subject to the Freedom of Information Act as well as the Local Records Act. And so there is acknowledgement in the agreement that the material that the Hanks Foundation may provide to us that they mark confidential or proprietary will be held confidential by the city to the extent that the Freedom of Information Act does not require disclosure. So the Freedom of Information Act recognizes there will be agreements like this, indicates that it is subject to an exemption under the Freedom of Information Act if that information could in some way damage the proprietary or private interests of the entity, and there isn't some other compelling reason to disclose. So for the public's edification, if there's a dispute about that, parties can take that dispute to the Public Access Counselor, and the Public Access Counselor can issue either a binding or a non-binding opinion that would guide the city about a disclosure. Our interaction with the Hanks Foundation will, in large part, be subject to
disclosure, because an awful lot of that information is going to relate to construction documents and things like that that will ultimately be public records and will be subject to disclosure ultimately. Some of the other Hanks Foundation information about their own operations, the city isn't necessarily need to proceed with the transaction, but there will be some information exchange which may well fall under these confidentiality provisions, and the city will marshal those issues and make sure that we attend to them. So other than each party then also exercising their best efforts towards this outcome, that basically is the content of the binding provisions and why those were split out. Most provisions in any letter of intent are ultimately going to be non-binding, and so that's why these confidentiality provisions were separated into some binding provisions. I've seen agreements with private entities and public entities in the past. This is consistent with the practices of some of those private entities that I've seen, and so I'm comfortable with these terms, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about them. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I do, before you go on, I do want to recognize the former mayor of Washington, Mayor Gary Manier, my friend. Thank you very much for being here. Also, the president of the Peoria Park District, President Robert Johnson, and Ms. Emily Cahill, who is the executive director of the Peoria Park District. Thank you all for being here. Mr. Manager?
Thank you. At this point, what I'd like to do is turn the floor over to Terra Engineering to walk through we just have 3 slides, so it won't be very long, and we'll walk through that. And then I'd like to address some correspondence that's on the council's desk that came from the Friends of Riverfront Park, and then we'll be able to answer any questions.
Good evening. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
So my name is George Garib. I'm a Senior Vice President with Terra Engineering. I've been really fortunate for the last 4 decades to work on projects like this that bring communities together. And I'm really, really happy that on behalf of the Hanks Foundation, we are able to make this, hopefully make this very fruitful for the city. This amphitheater not only brings people together, brings community together, but also it's a landmark for the Peoria downtown. It provides economic development. And the most important part is it befits exactly the vision for the master plan for the riverfront that was developed and approved by the council in 2022. I'm going to turn it over to our friend Gary Manier to speak a few words on behalf of the Hanks Foundation, and then Kevin will give you a quick overview of the slides.
Thank you, George. Mayor Ali and council, thank you for giving me a few minutes today. Jim Hanks is a friend of mine. He was a year ahead of me in class. Washington High School back in that era, 71, and I was 72. Dee Hanks, his wife, was a classmate of my wife's, 1973. We had 400 students in each class, so Jim Hanks and I probably didn't even know each other in high school. He was football, wrestling, I was basketball, baseball, and we had different interests. Obviously, as smart as he was, I wasn't in any of his classes. He went on to be a chemist, a biotech guy, had a company in Buffalo, New York. He and Dee met at a family reunion, or a class reunion, multi-year class reunion, and started Facebook chatter and different things, and started talking. Ended up getting married. Both their spouses had passed away. And they enjoyed going to the amphitheater in Darien Lakes in Buffalo, New York, where his company was. Now he lives in Marco Island, and he and Dee moved there, unfortunately, untimely death, that Dee died way too young. And so he always enjoyed going to an amphitheater, and he called me and said, I think Washington, Illinois would like to have an amphitheater, and I'd like to pay for it. Well, we went about 2.5 years trying to do it in Washington, and unfortunately it didn't work out. Location might have been some of the issue, and some of the claiming my wife was a conflict of interest was another issue, which she was not. But anyway, this is a great opportunity, and he just wants to leave something for the Peoria region. He and his mom both were in the Navy, and they had boats, motorboats. He said he always ran his motorboat near the location where this is going to be, so he thinks it'd be cool. He looked up and said, after Washington effort failed, he called me and said, why not Peoria? He said, the riverfront is such a beautiful place that, and he's a good friend of John Morris at Eureka, when John was at Eureka, and he said, why not put it on the riverfront with a backdrop of the bridge and the Murray Baker Bridge with beautiful lighting and everything? And I said, I'll see what they want to do. So here we are, and I hope you enjoy the presentation. So thank you so much. God bless each of you.
Thank you, Mayor Manier.
Thank you. Again, Kevin Graham, I'm the Senior Landscape Architect and Director of Design for Terra Engineering, and I will keep this very brief as we're really just getting started into looking at this, so there's nothing concrete at this point. But as Patrick said, in 2023, when we finalized the Riverfront Master Plan that you all adopted, and after a lot of public input throughout the process, I think, you know, as the slide that's up right now focuses on the area between the Murray Baker Bridge and the Riverplex, has been used, as you know, for many concerts, community events, and various sizes, concerts and festivals over the years. And I think, you know, as we looked at in the master plan, thinking about looking at the sunset over the Peoria skyline, what a wonderful venue. And then when the Hinks Foundation sought to locate this facility along the riverfront, and they asked our opinion, would this fit? And it's like, well, it's what's in our plan, right? And so we looked at the riverfront and as a great fit, both in line with the approved plan, but really as a great launching pad for the riverfront implementation. So we know that, again, as is mentioned, the area is within floodplain, floodway. There's a number of things we're going to have to work through, both with the Department of Natural Resources and the regulatory folks, but we have an idea of how to do that. And there are ways we can build within that. We can't restrict the flow, and we know those rules that we're going to have to work with, and I think this can be a wonderful, resilient design, that one that responds and allows the water to flow through, but allows the functions of the park to carry on. So we had a couple conversations with the Park District, who has managed facilities along this riverfront, and looked at ways we could bring together, how would we put together a performance pavilion, maintain the festival grounds, provide concession areas, the support facilities, and the infrastructure that would need to be done. And by far, this is not the plan, but we're just kind of speculating and looking at different ways that we could organize and facilitate some of these needs. So we're very excited to see this process move forward, and as the donation agreement gets more ingrained and finalized, to really have the design team start looking at this and exploring, you know, the virtues of placement and orientation, but to reiterate, locating this somewhere in between the Riverplex and the Murray Baker Bridge, creating a wonderful backdrop, a launching pad for a great riverfront implementation and rebirth of that riverfront. I think this is a great opportunity, and we're excited to help implement and see that future.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Friends of Riverfront Park met with the mayor and myself back in the end of July, and they submitted to us prior to the council meeting a list of questions, and we've included that in the packet, and they just had some information that they asked of us. where will the footprint be? And so as you can see, this is south of the Riverplex, kind of facing back towards the Murray Baker Bridge. They asked why we didn't include this, that they had the meeting with us in the neighborhood concerns, and it was just simply an oversight on that part. They asked us about the due diligence of the Hanks Foundation and where their money is coming from, and so we responded to that. We included some information in there about what, they asked a question about what is the risk to the taxpayers about cost overruns. And, I think at this point in time, with any construction project, you may have cost overruns. We're going to look at that and we're going to monitor that, but we're also going to work with the Hanks Foundation on trying to structure a design that we can all live with, and that we can all accommodate those overruns, building into the donation, into the amount of the donation. They also asked about the dollar per ticket sold, and we talked about that being consistent with the charity's purpose, and that we would continue to monitor that. And again, they asked about the FOIA components as well. So that was included in the packet for your consideration. I believe it's been included in the electronic packet for the public to review as well. One of the other elements that came up is maintenance of the property, and how is that going to be handled? And we've got a long-standing relationship with the Peoria Park District that goes back for more than 20 years on the operations and maintenance of the Riverfront Park. And so we anticipate that operations and maintenance will be handled by the Park District, and that we will work with them just as we've done over the years to encourage the events to occur, encourage the festivals to occur. We have a number of different festivals that occur throughout the year. Those are starting to wrap up now, and we're moving into kind of the end of the season's fine art fair that'll be coming down, and we don't anticipate this will impact that as well. So, the riverfront is really the heart of our region, and it's an opportunity for us to build upon that. And so at this point, we'd be happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Okay. I'm going to start with asking, assuming that we get approval of the letter of intent by council today, when do you expect to come back with the with the donation agreement?
I think that, I probably shouldn't speak for the attorneys in terms of how long that might take, but I would think that within the next couple of months, we should be able to be back, certainly before the end of the year, with a donation agreement in place.
Okay. And I know that the foundation was asking, or part of the agreement was that there would be $1 per ticket that would go back to the foundation. And from my understanding, that money would go toward things like scholarships that the foundation would issue as part of what they do in terms of being a foundation or their purpose and mission. And I just want you to think about if there were 5,000 people or 5,000 tickets sold at the amphitheater and there were 15 events, this is speculating that we would max it out, right? 15 events, that's $75,000 in 1 year. So it's not like they're trying to get rich off of this event. They're looking to, have some way to also benefit their scholarship fund.
That's correct.
Okay. Councilmember Sear.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I want to start by offering my sincere sympathy to Mr. Hanks. I've been through this, and I know how difficult it is. Tonight, if my colleague, Mr. Graham, was here, he would say the devils are in the details. So I will be watching. Obviously, this is just a letter of intent. And I think tonight's really a time for celebration. I mean, if we don't, it's like a private and public partnership. There's not too many opportunities. That's the first time for me being here the last 8 years, that we have some private money wanted to be invested right here in Peoria. I'm sure it won't be perfect, but it's really, for me, a time of celebration tonight. So, Madam Mayor, with your permission, I'd just like to move to accept and approve the letter of intent. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Velpula. Continued discussion, Councilmember Vespa.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excuse me. Yeah, and I also share my condolences with Ms. D. Hangst. I do have a few questions, and I know we're kind of preliminarily, drawing up the designs, and this is just a letter of intent. I know it's not fully binding. I know the binding provisions. I've read it. They seem reasonable asks. I think it gives us 6 months in order to come up with a permanent agreement or donation agreement, as you call it. It's an exciting proposal, but I mean there will be costs for the city of Peoria. One is probably flood insurance. This being in a floodplain. So you're shaking your head, Mr. Manager.
We don't carry any flood insurance, just based upon our current coverages that we have. What we're trying to do is to build resilient structures even in the Riverfront Park plan. We anticipated that the riverfront is going to flood because it will flood. It's just, and we want to build it resilient enough so that we can clean it off and be ready to go once the waters recede. And that's the intent of the design. I don't know if there's anything more that Tara might want to add in terms of the comprehensive plan, but that was our intent behind that, so we don't carry flood insurance for that. So.
Right, okay, so any flooding wouldn't destroy the permanent structures, and it wouldn't destroy, the green space where people would be sitting and watching the shows.
So what's happened in the past, 2013, 2017, 2019, when we've had floods, is after the flood, we come out and we power wash everything down, clear it out, and it's back the way it was. And that's, there are marks on the River Station building that if you walk past it, there are chalk marks at where the high water mark of the floods were back in 2013 with the big flood that we had back then. We anticipate that in terms of looking at how we can build that to be resilient. And maybe if I could just ask Mr. Graham to just talk a little bit about that, because he's really the architect of the riverfront plan design.
Yes, and as we went through the planning for the riverfront master plan, there are some really good examples of cities that have similar concerns. Louisville, Cincinnati, and they've built these wonderful world-class parks. And learning from what they've done, we've toured, talked with them, interviewed them, and a lot of it is designing. We know it's going to flood, so we design, if it's a water fountain or something, that it has caps on it so it can close off. So things are plug and play, so we can remove it. The idea is to be able to move things out of the water flooding before we know it's going to come. The nice thing about a flood along the Illinois River, we know when it's going to happen. It doesn't happen overnight, right? So we can plan for that. We can plan structures and equipment so that it's high and dry and can be maintained. And that's really what the hallmark of the Riverfront Master Plan really called for.
Okay. All right, sounds good. But we will, being the city, have to bear some of the costs of building out sewer, electric lines for the facilities, right?
So there are sewers. There's plenty of sewers on that site, and there is. We know that there's irrigation systems on the site. We know that there is currently some power and lighting that we have on the riverfront that's there. I think that we know that in conversations that we've had with the Park District, when we have larger events, we've got a challenge with bringing in more power. So that's something that we're going to have to look at how we get that brought in. We'll look at how much of that as part of the facility work we'll build into that $11 million budget, though, first. And that'll be something that we'll try and continue to talk about when we get into more detail work and design. So.
Okay. How many of these structures are permanent structures? It looks like there's the main stage, and then it looks like.
That's probably. I mean, you're probably looking at the main stage would be it. There may be, as we look at some concession booths, if we go that route. The Park District has utilized portable concessions to great effect on the riverfront when we've had different activities and events. So that's something that we'll dig into and explore a little more about that to see if we need to have that. I think even in the layout that Mr. Graham presented here, we have most of the main entrance of people coming in through the Gateway building and then into the site, into Festival Park that way. It's just a matter, and there are restroom facilities in the Gateway building. So the question is, if we did more, where would we have to put those? Do we use porta potties? How do we structure that? That's been pretty consistent with what the Park District has done over the years with different events and concerts that they've had in Festival Park.
Okay. So this talent facilities, which is on the map,
yeah,
just south of the Riverplex, we're not envisioning that as being a permanent?
Possibly. I mean, that's something that we need to look at. One of the things, if we're bringing in a larger act, do they need a green room? Is there something that they would do? So the question is that an addition onto the riverfront or the Riverplex building that we look at something there, or is that something that could be done? They also, at the same time we talk about that type of space, you also have acts that want to stay on their tour bus. So the question is, how do you structure that in a way? That's, I think, something that's still to be determined.
Okay, and looking at the design, it looks like the amphitheater is going to be facing southwest.
Correct.
Toward the sun, or at least the sun, whenever this drawing was made. So we have Providence Point Apartments, which is the former Taft Homes, kind of northwest. This is going to be southwest. So, I mean, is there a legitimate concern about, increasing the noise, disrupting the quality of life for people in these apartments, while at the same time we're trying to improve the quality of life for everybody in the community?
So we had a concert earlier this year, 5,000 people on the riverfront. It was a rock concert. Had no complaints that came back from Providence Point about the concert. We've had every July 4th, we have hundreds of thousands of people in the area that are coming down, and we don't seem to have complaints about that. The park is there to be used. The way that this is oriented, it's oriented so that the sound will be moving away from Providence Point. So it's not, towards the residences. It's more towards the central business district is where the sound would be directed. So.
Okay. Yeah, I think those other concerts tend to face away from Providence Point, and I like the idea that this would not be facing that that direction. So, all right. Thanks for answering my questions.
Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Councilmember Gordon Young.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was going to start off with a different sentence, but I want to respond to my colleague regarding the sound or the facing of the music. I spent a lot of time at festivals over the summer, and most of them were actually stage-faced Providence Point. And a lot of the residents of Providence Point were actually there for a lot of those. I do certainly understand your concern, but there's been so many outdoor concerts or festivals, like that's just the culture there. I certainly appreciate the consideration for the residents. But to me, it doesn't seem like it has been a problem in the past, at least from the people that I've spoken to and those that I know that have recently moved to those beautiful apartments. I just have a few questions, and these questions, I don't know who would answer them, but they're questions that constituents have asked me about, and this, of course, would be given the letter of intent is approved. Okay, so there's three of them. One would be, will this take away from any events that could potentially be at the Civic Center?
No, I don't believe that. I think that this is complementary to the efforts that we're doing at the Civic Center. And certainly in our community, we've seen that with the festivals that we've had on the riverfront and with concerts that we've had on the riverfront during the summertime, that it adds to the quality of life and brings people into our community and allows residents of our communities to celebrate and use the riverfront as it's intended.
I would add, Councilwoman, that the GM of the Civic Center, Mr. Edgar, is very hopeful that this happens.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. The second question would be, the question is simply, what about Glen Oak Park Amphitheater?
Maybe I can ask Emily Cahill to come forward. I think that the Park District does have plans for Glen Oak Amphitheater, and certainly the more options we have for people to get out and enjoy our parks, we would welcome that.
Okay.
Good evening. Patrick's right. There are spaces and places throughout our community. We are known for our fine arts. We're known for music. And so to have varying locations that support different size audiences is critical to that. It is not feasible for us to think that Glen Oak Park could host a 5,000 person concert because of the density of that neighborhood and the size of that bowl. So this actually fills a really important gap in that inventory and opportunity for us to bring different kinds of acts to the community and to meet the different varied interests that our citizens have for music entertainment. I do want to just echo Mayor Ali's point that there would be a collaboration with the Civic Center to use their resources and their capacity to work with different promoters to bring in some of those large-scale acts for us to all collaboratively as public bodies work together to maximize the vibrancy of this amphitheater once it's in place.
Thank you very much. I definitely like the idea of having various places throughout the city to go for entertainment. Another question that this was a conversation today. Someone was complaining or voicing a concern regarding their tax bill. And so the question is, will it cost the taxpayers any money?
Well, the riverfront is currently maintained and operated with the Park District, but with the city's support as well. So there is some financial support that comes from both the Park District and the city in order to maintain and operate the riverfront park. That's going to continue. I don't believe that the Park District, I think the Park District does have some general tax dollars that goes towards the operation of the riverfront, just as the city uses our operations, and we, as we build out capital improvements on the riverfront, that comes from our local tax dollars. So there is going to be a cost, but we anticipated that with the adoption of the riverfront plan, that the riverfront plan, as it was built out, was going to have additional operating expenses that we would have if we want to program it and if we want to utilize that space and make it what we all want it to be, something that we can be proud of, something that represents our region and that has the activities and amenities that we would like to see, from the Bob Michael Bridge to the Murray Baker Bridge and even further north along the riverfront. So that's still part of what we have to do. We build that into our budgets every year and anticipate that those costs will be there directly. If there are, and this is, obviously it's too early to build into that, but if as we look at if there's an opportunity to provide more larger acts to come on a more frequent basis to our riverfront, I think that's something that we'll plan with the Park District on. Are there ways we can structure this like an enterprise fund that manages those revenues and it stays within that in order to keep that? In fact, I think our agreement with the Park District does call for, if there are any revenues that are generated outside of this, that it stays within the riverfront park to be able to provide those amenities to the community.
Okay. Thank you for the information, Mr. Manager. And my final comment is gratitude and a thank you to the Hens Foundation. What a wonderful gift and a wonderful opportunity. There have been times, I'm a sophomore, junior at this point on this council, and I've heard, numerous times where Peoria dropped the ball, or the council didn't, should have voted yes in favor of something and didn't. Well, this is one that I don't want to go on record denying. So you will definitely have my approval. I think it's an amazing opportunity. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're very welcome. Great questions. Councilmember Riggenbach?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And let me begin by thanking you, Mayor Manier, for being here representing the Hanks Foundation. And please extend our sincere thanks to Mr. Hanks and the entire board for this letter of intent. I think it's really important for us to go back to that riverfront master plan that we approved just a couple years ago. That plan has a build out of north of $20 million. We've got $15 million committed from the state that we're waiting to draw in on, but clearly there's always been a shortfall on that. As I remember the discussion that we had that night when we approved it, we talked about private fundraising and how would we ever close that gap, and how could we close that gap? Well, at the risk of being sacrilegious, I guess God answers prayers sometimes, because this seems like a real gift to the community, and I think it's something that we take humbly and thankfully. It's so important, I think, that we remember a couple things, that this has been part of the plan. Mr. Graham clearly said it, and I wrote it down to get his quote. It's in our plan. This is something that we had extensive public input on, and the council approved, and it's in the plan, it's been in the plan, and now we have a funding mechanism to make it part of the reality. I think it's also important to note that the 11 of us aren't going to be picking the acts that come to the venue. That we're going to have our professional partners from the Peoria Park District working with the entertainment brokers to fill that void. So I've actually had people say, well, who's going to come? It's like, don't ask me. I'll tell you who I want. I don't know if AC/DC plays in small venues like that or not, but seriously, we're going to do this right. And this letter of intent tonight is the first step in getting the serious dialogues going. Mr. Hayes is going to be pretty busy here these next few weeks working out the details, but I have confidence in his representation of the city and all of us taxpayers to make sure that this is something that we will look back on in 40 years, just like we look at the Civic Center and say, where would we be without it? So I'm going to be an enthusiastic supporter of it. And again, our thanks to the Hanks Foundation for bringing this opportunity to us, and to our friends at Terra for their diligent work through the years in putting this plan together. It's got to be just as exciting for you gentlemen to see some of this funding opportunities coming into reality. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
The location is in all of our downtown, but it is in the 3rd District. Is that right, Councilman?
Coincidentally, yes.
Councilmember Jackson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As I've listened to the comments tonight, I appreciate the comments from all of my colleagues, especially from Mr. Sear. It's not too often that we are provided $11 million, and this money, as Councilmember Riggenbach has stated, fits in well with not only our riverfront plan, but I think the big picture as we look to redevelop our downtown as well, and hopefully bring our boat back to the riverfront. So I'm excited about it. I think it'll do wonders for just bringing more people to downtown Peoria. And as somebody who lived in Buffalo, New York for 4 years, I can say that the arts it's big, it plays big. And one of the things I would, if I could put my bid out, I've always been interested in seeing more jazz come back to the riverfront. And to me, this would be the perfect venue to bring more jazz and other arts to our community. So thank you to Mayor Manier and the Hinks Foundation and everybody who has been a part of putting this project together. I will be in support of it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Ditto to all those comments. You know, our river and our riverfront is one of our greatest assets here in Peoria. And this donation from the Hinks family only enhances our river and the riverfront. It takes it really to another level to have this opportunity. So thank you for this tremendous gift. I think this is going to work out. I believe it's going to work out, and it looks like we're going to have the support of the council. Our riverfront plan is complemented by this opportunity, and we know it's an award-winning plan already. So where do we go from here, Mr. Garib? Award-winning, and now we have another, what, plus one? Third time is a charm, and I truly believe Peoria is the right location. Councilmember Kelly?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just, as we all are, I'm just very grateful to the Hanks Foundation that they would consider this for our wonderful city and our wonderful riverfront. I must take my hat off to the eloquence of all of my colleagues here who have spoken, because all of my questions have been answered. So I'll be short, but this could truly be a catalyst leading us to places we can't quite imagine at this point, and I'm very excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. The foundation is centered in Washington, very proud of its Washington roots, et cetera, et cetera. It didn't work out there. I'm so thrilled that that was not the end of the line. And to come right back and say, well, what about Peoria? I'm just thrilled. So thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Councilman Allen, did you have any comments or questions?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Well, first off, thank you for the opportunity to participate this evening. And thank you to the Hintz Foundation for their interest. One of the things that Mayor Manier said, I believe in his remarks when he was, I think, either approached with the question of why not Peoria or how about Peoria? And I think that that is a great question that we always want to be asked when it comes to things looking to come to our wonderful city. You know, why not Peoria or how about Peoria? And so I know that we're at the genesis of this conversation. There's a lot of details that we still need to work out to make sure that this is mutually beneficial for both the foundation and the city of Peoria and all of the constituents and stakeholders that we represent. But I'm very excited that they have decided that Peoria is a good destination for this project, and look forward to hopefully seeing it come to fruition. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Councilmember Euler, do you have comments?
Yes, I do as well. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I'd like to start with thanking the group for being here to give this presentation and this opportunity to us. I'm very enthusiastic about the possibilities. As being one of the members that focuses a lot on economic development and the viability of our riverfront and downtown, when this opportunity I saw get terminated in Washington, the city manager and I were having a discussion, and I said, we need to go see what it takes to get it here. So I'm very hopeful that we will be able to work that out, and I know that the mayor has been working on this as well as some of the other council members to make sure that we have this opportunity in our city and we take advantage of it, because too often we get criticized for not being the community that takes advantage of an opportunity out there and we lose it to somewhere else. So I'm quite encouraged that we have this in front of us. I do want to make sure that we do our due diligence and do this right so that we don't face uphill battles later. And I sent some of my comments and questions to the manager and to George at Terra and the city attorney today to make sure that we're addressing some of the concerns that I have early and wanting to understand this dollar per ticket donation and where that goes and how it's used and the structure of how this private partnership will work. But tonight, the first thing is to get past deciding that we're on board with moving in this direction, and it sounds like we all are, and that's going to be great. So thank you, everyone, for your contribution.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. We do have a motion on the floor in a second, but before we proceed with the final vote, if there's no objection, I would like to give an opportunity for a representative of the Friends of Riverfront Park to have comments if you would like.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kathy McNeil. I think you've seen me here before, but this issue is I'm representing an Illinois not-for-profit group known as Friends of Riverfront Park, and our concerns are about the proposed location of the amphitheater. We want to emphasize that Riverfront Park is a lovely green space located on the north side of the downtown riverfront area, and we just couldn't find it acceptable if any kind of plan were to disrupt or interfere with the area known as Riverfront Park. And so we expect that the documents, such as the letter of intent, will clearly specify that the location of the project will be south of the Riverplex and not interfere with Riverfront Park. Let's see, I lost something here. There have been other issues brought up to you by the organization known as Friends of Riverfront Park, and we would hope that you would consider that list before you do any approvals in your final draft. We'd appreciate if you would let us know what you think about those issues, or what the answer to our concerns are. So thank you for your time, and it sounds pretty exciting, really does.
Thank you for your input. Appreciate it. Everyone, please cast your ballots. Councilmember Allen?
Aye.
Councilmember Euler?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Madam Clerk? Thanks, everyone.
25-253 is a communication from the City Manager and Director of Public Works with a request to approve an agreement with H.R. Green for the combined sewer overflow reduction storage project in an amount not to exceed $2,700,000.
We're going to hold just for a few minutes. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to turn over the floor to our Public Works Director to walk through this item.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, Madam Mayor, Council. Actually, I can't help it. I'm going to jump off the agenda and go back to the previous point. One other point for the Council. You adopted a strategic plan recently, and I happen to be that department where it says, implement the riverfront plan, one sentence. That's what you gave us. This is an amazing first step. That was an amazing first step, because I've been wondering what will be the first step in something that grand. So I'm really proud to be your Public Works Director after hearing what I just heard, so good job, all of you. So kudos. That's from me more than anything. So the actual item before us, I'm sorry, is the subject of what we had our policy session with you back in June, the direction we're taking toward the consent decree and how we will meet it. Somewhat, I would say, a departure, not necessarily a departure, but a turn away from green and going offline with storage. This will provide for the planning, if you will, and the design stage location, what our final look will look like for a 6.4 million gallon offline storage tank that we are starting to refer to as the Eaton Fayette project, somewhere in that general location. It is preliminary engineering and what's going to go into it, again, about 5% of the overall cost, which of the tank is approximately $60 million overall. Again, this represents about 5%, which is average for this type of work. Again, you have seen a full presentation on this. I'll go as deep as you want to go, but I believe all of you know what this is for, and I will leave it at that unless you need more.
Any questions? Can I get a motion to approve? Moved by Councilmember Sears, seconded by Councilmember Carmona. If there's no questions, please cast your ballots. Councilmember Allen?
Aye.
Councilmember Euler?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Director Powers. Madam Clerk?
25-254 is a communication from the City Manager and Finance Director Comptroller with a request to receive and file the month ended July 31, 2025, an audited financial report.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you. It's that time of the month where we do our monthly financial report, and I'll turn it over to our Finance Director, Kyle Craddy.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. In your packet is the month-ended July 31st financial report. The overall good news with the report is that revenues are going in the direction that we want them to go, and expenses are also going in the direction we want them to go. And so we are 1.7% ahead of anticipated budget in terms of our revenue in the general fund to date, and we are down 1.9% compared to budget year to date. In both of those cases, we're also ahead on revenues compared to last year and down on expenses compared to last year. So those trends are a good sign in terms of where we will end the fiscal year. That is obviously something that we are busy on review on, because in 2 weeks I'll be providing council with a copy of the 2026 budget. So that's something we're working on, but we're seeing good signs in terms of where the financial picture is for the year. And with that, I'll take any questions from the council.
Councilmember Sear?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Director Craddy, thank you for taking my phone call the last couple of days again. Just got a comment and one question tonight. Tell us a little bit about what are your expectations the next 4 to 12 months for the city of Peoria and for this great country?
I think that is a very good question. Obviously, some of the economic signals the last, I would say, few weeks, especially on the jobs front, has not been necessarily positive in terms of an indication of the economy. Right now, when we look at kind of looking forward into next year's budget, the consensus estimate from economists is still around a 2% increase in consumer spending. We will see if that changes, but that is the plan that we have going forward, and that's how we're planning in terms of what the next 12 months looks like.
Thank you, Director Craddy. I mean, I know we're going to start the process the next few weeks. I mean, I'd just love to have conversations with my colleagues. No, we really need to try to, and Mr. Manager looking at me, we need to really try to live within our means. I mean, I'm always not very excited about issuing new bonds and debt, so I'm sure we'll have some of those conversations, but I'd love to see us try to live within our means and conserve our cash, because we will have some difficulties and slow down in the next 2 years. So Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Do you want to make a motion?
Move to, is that a file or
Receive and file.
move to receive and file, Madam Mayor?
Seconded by Councilmember Carmona. Any other questions? Please cast your ballots. Councilmember Allen,
Aye.
Councilmember Euler.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Quick question, Mr. Manager, our next, our first budget meeting, is it next week or is it the 23rd?
So we will be presenting the budget to you on the 23rd. It'll go on file that day, and then we'll have our first meeting September 30th.
Okay, thank you. All right. Madam Clerk,
We are at unfinished business.
no unfinished.
Okay, then we are on to new business.
Is there any new business tonight? No new business.
We are at citizens' opportunity to address the city council, and we have not received any cards. So then we are at executive session.
Okay, I would like to invite a motion to adjourn and to convene in closed session immediately following adjournment of the city council meeting pursuant to the Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 122C5 to discuss the purchase of real property for the use of the public body, including discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired, and pursuant to the Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 122C21 for approval by the body of closed session minutes. Moved by Councilmember Seer, seconded by Councilmember Kelly. Please cast your ballots. Councilmember Allen,
Aye.
Councilmember Euler,
Aye.
we will see you in closed session. Thank you. Thank you for your service.